Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're back with the new daily races on Gran Turismo Sport, and yeah, we've got a reasonably good week I think for you this week. Some races could have been improved, so starting off with daily race C at Bathurst in Group 4. Now this is a no-stop race driving on the racing hard tyres, and that is my only gripe with this race. I think it could have been improved with one extra lap and medium and hard tyres and a slightly higher tyre ratio, just to make a bit of strategy available and just to make it a little bit more enjoyable. But yeah, it's 8 laps, hard tyres, and it is in the night version of the track, which I do enjoy. So this has got potential for a lot of chaos because it's in the dark, it's harder to see what's going on. When that gravel and the dust kicks up, you do not see where you're going. So yeah, let's start this race. Starting from P15, I'm driving the Ferrari in this race. I think the Ferrari is a good car for this combination. It seems very strong, good through the corners, good at overtaking other cars, and yeah, tyre wear is no issue really. I think the only cars that are going to struggle really at all with tyre wear is probably the FF cars in this race, possibly some of the four-wheel drive cars, but in general most cars are going to be usable. I actually think this race is going to have quite good variety in the different cars that you can go. For example, in this race we've got Vipers, Scirocco's, Trophy, Ferrari. I think the McLaren's an option, so Corvette will be an option. It's an interesting one. But yeah, starting from P15. See, we're still in P15 at this stage. Very difficult to find the way past on this track really, especially in the dark. It makes everything that little bit more difficult, as we've got a car there, not sure what's happened there, but he's ghosted, and we're up into P14. So that's one extra position gain. But you can see what I'm talking about with regards to the dust. When anyone kicks up some dust, it really does block your view because your lights obviously shine through it, and it looks great, but you literally see nothing in front of you. But yeah, we're going to work our way on the downhill section now, trying to keep the car nice and smooth through here. You don't want the rear to step out, and just taking it nice and easy just in case anyone makes a mistake. As we see the Viper losing the rear end, actually hits the car in front of him, and we go down the left hand side. He does give us a little nudge down the left. I think he realizes that, so we try and brake and stay tight to the apex. He lets us through there, I think, after nudging us, and we're up to P13. So not a bad start to the race. We've gained a couple of positions. This race is going to be a very tricky one starting from the back of the grid. We probably will do a few races from the back, but maybe some from more towards the front as well. But working our way down here, and just look at the Ferrari in 7th gear. This car is so strong in 7th gear. We actually get a really nice run on the outside here. We're on the outside of the Mazda. We brake nice and early. There was a little bit of contact there from another car, and you can see everyone's running wide. We just take up the normal line and we're through. As we go down the straight there, we have the Megane Trophy that just rejoins the track, nearly swipes us out, but luckily we get away with that, and we're up to P9. So a little bit of chaos there, but we benefit from that quite nicely. I've really gained, I think, 3 or 4 positions there. So up to P9, and now we've got a nice bit of clean track in front of us to drive on and try and put some lap times in. So yeah, just trying to keep it nice and smooth. Now you can see that we're gaining on P8 there already through turn 1, and now we're on the uphill section. And again, Ferrari, it does seem like a very strong car. I think the McLaren will be an option for this track. Corvette, Mercedes AMG, BMW M4 will probably be alright as well because it's hard tyres. There's a number of cars you're going to be able to use. The Viper. It's actually going to be an interesting week. I think it's going to be a very enjoyable week for the variety in cars. I just wish this race had that one extra lap, higher tyre ratio, and maybe medium and hard tyres that had to be used. But yeah, as we come down the hill, we've got the Scirocco that has totally bottled the downhill section, and that slowed us down massively and actually enabled P10 to catch us right back up there. So a little bit frustrating. We were on a reasonably good lap on that lap then. However, P8 didn't mean to do it. Obviously he hit the wall, mistakes happen, and now we've just got to try and get past him. So again, you're going to see what I'm talking about with the Ferrari, how good it is in terms of top speed. So look at this. Obviously in the initial acceleration the Scirocco was very strong, but as soon as we get going with that slipstream and 7 gears on the Ferrari, the Scirocco just stands no chance at defending against the Ferrari. So yeah, Ferrari seems pretty decent for this combination. So into the braking zone, trying to make sure you don't brake late for this corner. It's very easy to brake late for that combination, especially when you've got a slipstream. You really need to be careful in that braking zone. But that is one extra position gain. So we're going to skip on a little bit further up, and we're going to go through a little bit of a track guide because we've got a bit of clean area now. We're starting to get used to the combination. And where you're going to brake is in between the 100 and the 50 board here. You're going to see just maybe a bit closer to the 100 board. We put our braking inputs in, and down shifting to 3rd, and then 2nd gear as you're going into the apex, and then get on that power, and then back up to 3rd gear before you exit the corner. We run a little bit wide there. but I think we managed to gain reasonable speed on the straight. So fast forwarding up the straight and then into your next braking zone, which you're going to use a grey bit of tarmac on your left. That's when we're going into the braking point. And yeah, you can brake quite late on that grey tarmac as well. Down to third gear, try and hug the apex and get on the power as early as you can. Use some of the track on the left if you need to, and then work your way up this hill. And again, this you can brake a little bit later than you can in Group 3. So as you come in out of the exit of that part of the corner, you're getting on the brakes. And then the Ferrari actually rotates really nice for it. So down to second gear, it hugs the apex almost perfectly onto the throttle, maximum throttle, and then completely flat out. Now, you do not need to lift in Group 4 for this section. This is just all about getting your lines right through the corner, and then flat out down this house, down into this left-hand corner. And again, I actually had to give it a little lift there because I kind of got the angle wrong into the corner. You probably can do that completely flat. And again, into this corner, a little bit of a safety lift on the exit there. We run tiny bit wide, but managed to get the car back on the track. And then we're into the braking zone, which making sure you're braking before that big Audi R8 sign. Do not brake too close, otherwise you're going to be going off and probably crashing. Then all the way down this section, you'll see that I was trail braking and putting a bit of acceleration in to stabilize the car. And at this point, you need to make sure your right-hand tire does not cut over that white line. If you do it so your right hand tire is over the right hand side of that white line, you'll be okay. Then into next braking zone, braking just before you hit the apex here. I like to get the braking done nice and early so that when you come through this corner, you can get on the power as early as possible. You see, nice and early on the power, powering our way down the hill, and then into the next braking zone, which is going to be looking for the 150 board there on your right hand side. Now, you want to be making sure you're braking just before that, I think, because if you brake later, you end up not carrying the exit speed. So brake nice and early, get a good entry point into the corner, and then on the throttle as early as you can and carry the speed away from the corner. Then into the next braking zone, braking just after the 100 board on the right hand side. You're going to be looking for it there, and we're just braking just past that 100 board. And then again, downshifting to second gear in the Ferrari, clipping the apex as early as you can, and then on the throttle as early as you can. Trying to make sure you don't run wide there as well. Keep it on the track. You will lose time if you run wide. And we go over the line for a reasonable 2 minutes 13.4. It's not an amazing lap. I'm sure the Ferrari can get itself into the 2 minutes 12 as we drift through that corner there. So yeah, managed to do quite a nice lap there. Caught up to P6. He's not too far in front of us there. So now we just got to see if we can get ourselves up into that position. And we also can see P5 not too far in the distance. So let's see how long it's going to take, working our way up the hill again, trying to take this corner as well as we can. This is the corner where you can, I think, do it almost flat. You just got to see how we did it a bit better that time. Just a little safety lift, and then this corner again, a little safety lift onto the throttle. Doing it quite nice. Actually did it better than the lap before this time. And then into the braking zone again, using a bit of brake and acceleration through that corner. It really does stabilize the car. And then again, making sure you don't cut that corner. The Nissan GTR in front of us, a little bit sideways through there and a bit out of shape, and then brakes a little bit too late into this corner. So we brake nice and early, get on the throttle nice and early, give him the space on the exit, and then we should be able to make that pass up into P6. So I moved on there now, so let's see, will he be able to come back on the straight? Is he going to try? He seems to stay over to the right hand side there, so maybe he wasn't worried about getting the slipstream. We go to the right though, to try and stop him picking up that slipstream, and it looks like he's just letting us go there. I don't think he's really fighting this position too much. Maybe he realises his tyres are starting to fade. So into that braking zone, braking again just before that 150 board. It's definitely better to do it like that and try and concentrate on your exit speed rather than braking too late. It's very easy to brake late into that corner. So fast forward and a little bit ahead now onto the start of lap 7, and we've managed to catch up to P5. Some not particularly consistent lap times at the moment, obviously trying to get used to the Ferrari round Bathurst, but yeah, not too bad for our first go actually. Pretty, considering we just jumped on. I think I did about 3 laps on my main account on time trial just to get used to the Ferrari, and then we jumped onto this. So yeah, doing reasonably well and catching up to P5 from the back of the grid. We started P15, so let's see if we can get ourselves into the top 5. We've gone purple again there, showing you that there is still a lot more time left in this Ferrari. I'm convinced that we can get into the 2 minute 12 with the Ferrari. I think in race pace it feels very strong. Working our way up the hill now, we've got a nice bit of slipstream, but we're not really going to be able to do too much here. Will we be able to find the place to go for a move? Now that Scirocco is going to be very slow on the exit of this corner. You can see the Ferrari so much faster. We go wide there, cut back on the inside, and we're going to be able to go up on the inside of the corner. Now in these cars you can actually go 2x2 through here. It's actually quite fun because there's enough, you don't need to brake, it's pretty much flat out through there. I decided to back out on that part just because going through this section 2x2 is probably going to end in disaster, so decided to back out there and just tuck back behind into the slipstream. So now we're just going to try and stay behind him on the downhill section. There's not really any way you can overtake on this section track, although he runs very wide there and he's a little bit scruffy. That's enabled me to get very, very close to the rear of that Scirocco. And now we're just going to be looking to see if we can go for a move at some point on this next power zone. So yeah, coming out the corner on the throttle nice and early, and let's see if we can get that slipstream to go for a move on P5. So working our way on the downhill section. This again shows you just how fast the Ferrari is. You can see we're getting that slipstream. We're going to go up into 7th gear just as we come past the top of the hill there, and we've got such a nice run on him. And now you can see we've got a really good slipstream. We're going to go to the left, make it clear that we're going down left hand side. He does try and cut that off quite late. There might have been a bit of contact there, I'm not too sure, but he did try and cut off the move, and then I don't know if that was deliberate or he just lost the car on the curb or not, but we managed to make the move and up into P5. But yeah, he did try and cut us off as we were clearly going down the left hand side, and I think that was all fair, up into P5. And yeah, that was pretty much it then. There was a massive gap in front of us, up to 7 seconds to P4. There was no way we were going to catch that up in one lap. So yeah, we managed to finish in P5, and quite an enjoyable race for our first race on Bathurst. I do love Bathurst. I think it's going to be a fun race. I think that strategy would have definitely have helped this race. I really do think that one extra lap, higher tyre wear ratio, and compulsory usage of the hard and mediums would have been brilliant. But unfortunately, it's a no-stopper again. Come on, PD, give us some strategy in these daily race Cs. So next up, we have daily race B, which is always that short race. It's Group 3, Red Bull Ring. What more can we say? It's always an enjoyable combination. I love Red Bull Ring in Group 3, but yeah, it's a few laps, 5 laps. I decided to set a lap time that was going to be reasonably okay. It managed to start me P3, and yeah, it's always going to be a fun race really at Red Bull Ring. It's one of them combinations that I enjoy driving, especially in Group 3. It's all about just trying to be patient as well and finding the moves that you can go for. So yeah, working our way behind the Lamborghini now. There's a lot of cars you can use for this. I'm in the Aston Martin for this race. The Lamborghini, the Porsche, Subaru. There's so many different cars that you can use for this combination. They'll be very, very strong around here. So even the Corvette as well, another strong car. Viper as well. There's probably many cars that you can get reasonable pace out of. So looking up ahead, we got 2 cars going side by side. I decided to brake really early here and just let them battle it out, and if they take each other out, then yeah, we gain a position. But yeah, they managed to get through there quite nicely, keeping it nice and clean in front of us. And now we're just trying to take our normal racing lines through here. You can see running a little bit wide, the Aston Martin in the lead of this group, and we're just going to try and keep it nice and smooth for this tricky left-hand corner, getting on the power. And again, be careful on that curb. Remember, Group 3 cars do tend to have a glitch curve on there, so just try and be a bit cautious when you exiting that corner. Now working our way into the final sector, we can see that the Lamborghini looks very close to Aston Martin, almost on the bumper, but that gives us the ability to get really close as well. So getting the slipstream down this straight, you can see the Lamborghini is going to try and go down the right hand side of the Aston Martin. So I'm going to get the slipstream and almost go for a fake move here. So we make him think we're going to go for a move, then get back over to the left, brake early, and then try and get a strong exit from the corner, which we really managed to do quite nicely. However, there was a gap there, but it just closed up, and I decided to give the Lamborghini the bump draft up the straight to get ourselves up into P2. So we're in P2 now, and now we've just got to be cautious in the braking zone. So braking down into first gear, and then the other Aston Martin comes up the inside, gives us a little nudge there, a little bit of contact between all of us there, but the Aston Martin has made that move up on the inside, putting himself up into P2. So that's Sander up into P2. We're now in P3. Can we manage to hang it around the outside here? We brake quite late, but I don't think we're going to be able to manage. A little bit of contact from the Aston Martin. Just about managed to stop it going onto the gravel there, but managed to hold on to P3 in this race. So quite an entertaining race for a daily race B. Normally daily race Bs, I know they can be fun, but they're not my favourite because they just tend to be too short for me. But I think we'll probably do a couple of these this week, because I think there's plenty of fun to be had. It's Group 3 at Red Bull Ring. I mean, it's always going to be a fun race. So yeah, we'll definitely do a couple of these races. So into next braking zone, can we manage to see if we can try and get back past P2 and get that P2 back? We're going to try and take it nice and easy through here, get on the power as early as we can, clip into that curb, and then power out of this corner and see if we can maybe go for a move in turn 1. We're not close enough to even think about a move into turn 1 here. So again, try and concentrate on the exit of this corner. Again, we seem quite strong going into the corner and on exit speed, so a nice bit of traction there as we got on the power. You can see we actually gained quite a bit on P2. So P2's got the slipstream to the Lamborghini actually picked up a half a second penalty out of turn 1, so we're going to go for a bit of a dive bomb up the inside, manage to slow the car down really nicely actually, and actually give the space to the left hand side of the Aston Martin so that we don't run him off the track. And a nice move up into P2, and also that then puts us up to P1 because he's got the penalty, and now we can try and push on and see if we can get the win in this race. So into the braking zone, trying to keep it nice and smooth. The Aston Martin behind us brakes very, very late there, almost clipped the rear of our car, but just about we got away with that and stay in P1 for this race. So can we manage to hold on to this? It's looking okay at the moment. Try and keep it nice and smooth through these long left-hand corners. Again, this is the part of the track where I tend to struggle a bit. It takes me a while to get used to this part of the track. I think after a few races here, we should be up to speed. But yeah, I tend to struggle through that left-hand corner. But yeah, this time we're going to go through a track guide, I think, on the next lap now. I think it is after this lap, just because it was a slightly cleaner lap, I think, than the one we're on now. Not much difference between them, but yeah, we're going to go for that track guide as we come out of this corner. Also, we didn't have a slipstream. I wanted to do the guide with no slipstream, just so there's no advantage from the slipstream. So yeah, this lap, now we're going to use the 100 board for our braking reference. You can see braking just short of the 100 board. Now get your car as far over to the left as you can there to widen the line into this corner so that you can clip your right hand tyre almost on the edge of that curb. You can actually use a bit of the yellow sausage curb there as well, and then power your way up this hill now into the next braking zone. So technically turn 3, although it's actually turn 2, isn't it? Let's be honest, these are not really corners. So yeah, into the next braking zone, braking again just before the 100 board. You can brake quite late on this corner, but you will have to rotate the car. I braked a little bit early there, down to second gear, down to first gear, clip the apex, upshift very early to second gear, and then smoothly input that throttle in just so that you don't spin up the rears too much and you get a nice clean exit. So then working our way down into the next braking zone, again looking for that 100 board on the left hand side, again braking a little bit before it because you want to make sure that you clip the apex on this corner because of the off camber nature of the corner. So again, get that car into the apex, on the throttle early, upshift to third gear and power your way out the corner. Again, you see how the slope slants to the left? That is off camber, and it will, if you miss the apex, you'll run wide. Again, braking just before the 50 board here. You can push the limits a little bit close to that 50 board, but I'm taking it quite cautious on this lap. And then try and get the car into the apex. Again, upshift early to fourth gear on the exit, and use a little bit of green Astro as your braking reference. The end of the green Astro there is a reference for where you're braking for this corner. Downshift to third gear, and again, try and get the left-hand tyre onto that apex curb, and then power your way out of this corner into the next braking zone, which again, we're going to be braking in between the 100 and the 50 board on the left hand side. So there's a 100 board, we're braking right in between that 150 board, and again, downshift to fourth, then third gear, and try and clip the apex, back on the power, into fourth gear. And for this corner, you can see the skid marks that are going over to the right. They're kind of your braking reference in a way. There's not really much braking reference there, but I just brake just slightly later than them, and then down into third gear, and try and power your way through the corner again. Try and get on that power as early as you can for that exit of that corner and run your way down to the finish line. And just be careful you don't run too far wide and pick up a penalty also. So managing to do a 28.2, not exactly a brilliant lap, but yeah, it was a solid lap, no slipstream, and it's reasonably okay enough to give you there for a guide. So into the final lap, can we manage to hold off the Aston Martin behind us? He's sticking to the slipstream pretty well at the moment. The slipstream obviously is worth quite a bit on this track on the straight lines. It will slow you down a little bit in traction zones, but I think it's definitely faster to be in the slipstream. So yeah, on the power, you can see again the traction zones are the issue with the car behind when it's in the dirty air. You have to be that little bit more smooth on the throttle when you're following another car, so just be a bit more patient when you're putting the power down, and if you do that, you should be able to get the power down quite smoothly. We run a little bit wide here, missing the apex slightly, but just about, again, managing to keep it on the track and not running off into the gravel. And again, just taking it nice and easy on this final lap. There's no real need to push it because we've got half a second lead, so we're just trying to make sure we do not pick up a penalty on this final lap. Run a little bit wide there, again, brake just before the green Astro on the left, on the right hand side there, and then power your way in. Again, this curb, just watch how it nearly spins me there. Be very cautious of that curb. That is the curb that I mentioned before. and it will take you out in Group 3. You will see a lot of cars getting spun on that curb this week, because for some reason it's almost like the car bottom outs on the curb, on the top of the curb, and your car just instantly rotates. So just be very cautious on that corner. Otherwise, yeah, you could end up in the gravel. So we managed to take the win, and now we're going to move on to Daily Race A. So, yeah, Daily Race A is again at Lego Major. Again, the variety is lacking a bit this week. It's a shame, because we've had some really good variety recently, but the combinations are pretty fun. This one is actually quite enjoyable to drive. Driving the KTM at Lego Major Centre Track, and I have to say, it's actually quite an enjoyable combination, but again, high potential for chaos, because this car is quite tricky, and that normally results in a lot of chaotic driving. So we get quite a good start from the start there, and brake reasonably late, but I make sure I don't get too close to the cars in front. And now we're going to try and go around the left hand side, because we can see it all built, like all clogging up there on the right hand side. Let's see if we can go around the outside. We managed to take a few cars on the outside there, and we're up into P8, I think there, P9. But this guy in the mirror just decides to just try and push everyone out the way. Just look at him in the mirror, just barges his way through, pushing myself and everyone off the track there. So unfortunately that knocks us down to P11. But yeah, let's see if we can work our way back up to that group and see if we can get back involved with the battle. So fast forward in the action. Now my pace actually looks okay on this combination, to be honest, this week. I quite enjoy driving the KTM. It's a reasonably fun car to drive. So yeah, we managed to catch them up quite quickly. You can see we're already back in that slipstream and working our way behind P10 now. So let's see how long it takes us to get past this group, because the only thing here is, you see, there's an incident up ahead. A car has spun or been took out. I'm not too sure what's happened there, but you're going to see a lot of that in the braking zones, because, like I say, a lot of people seem to struggle slowing this car down. You can slow it down quite well if you time the shifting quite well on this thing, though. So yeah, again, braking just before that 100 board there. We go for the move on the inside. Just about make it, giving him space in case he was going to go down the right hand side, and he decided not to, although he's going to try and put it up the inside here and then get on that power nice and early, and that's up into P9. So managed to get ourselves back involved with the action now, and you can see already the lead group though has gone, and that is the thing with this combination, because if you start battling and 2 seconds of 2 seconds worth of gap, and that is it, the lead group have gone. So into the braking zone, braking quite late there. Managed to brake a lot later than the other cars in front of us. Had to go wide so that we didn't hit them. And then onto the power and see if we can go for a move. It's going to be a little bit chaotic, it looks like here now, as we got a car on the left. We're going to go on the slipstream of the car in P7 and see if we can go for a move into the braking zone. Brake as late as we can. But yeah, we decide to not really risk it into this corner. Again, it all gets a little bit chaotic. So we get hit from the car behind us. He didn't really take that corner very easily. And again, I'm not sure if that was the guy that pushed us out on lap 1, but yeah, we're managing to stay ahead of him and stay in P9. So now we've got the slipstream behind this group, as one car up ahead there has a massive moment, nearly loses control and just about saves it. But now this is going to group everyone really close together, and yeah, as we come down here, I decided to go for a move on P8, but we brake just before the 100 board and slow the car down and managed to do four or five cars in one move with an overtake. Didn't mean to do that really. I only wanted to go for one car overtake, but I will take 4 cars in one move all day. So yeah, up into P5, and then once we got ourselves into P5, our pace was pretty strong, so it was pretty much going to be given that we were going to pull away from some of these cars because they're battling so much behind us. So keeping it nice and smooth through here, and you can see already that the gap is building up behind us, nearly running wide there, but just about managing to keep it on the track. And that early upshift into 4th gear on the exit there gives us really nice exit speed there. So you can see we've already nearly broke the slipstream to the cars behind. So we managed to break that slipstream quite quickly, and now we're going to go into a track guide on the final lap of the race. So yeah, let's get a little track guide. It's not a very complicated track. Braking just before the 100 board above your head there. Make sure you brake a little bit before that. That will give you the ability to get the car into the apex. So stay in 3rd gear for this corner. So staying in 3rd gear, and then just as you come into the braking zone there, as soon as you straighten up the car, you've actually got a grid box that you can use as a reference, although I do it by just sight. I downshift a second, then straight back up to 3rd before you get on the throttle, because 3rd gear is the gear you want to be in for acceleration. Do not be in 2nd gear. Upshift to 4th gear early, little bit of a drift on the exit there, maybe losing a half a tenth or so, but not too bad. and then working our way through this section, which is completely flat out. Just use the full width of the track, and then into the next braking zone, which you're going to use the 100 board again, braking just short of that 100 board, and then downshift the third gear. And again, if you need to use second gear just to rotate the car, you can use it, but you can actually stay in third gear if you want. You see, I briefly go to second gear to get rotation, then back up to third gear before we get on the power, because like I say, you do not want to be in second gear once accelerating, because the gearing is not long enough. So yeah, we go over the line for a 49.9, which is not a bad lap. It's actually reasonably okay. And yeah, unfortunately, we weren't really able to catch up any of the other cars because of the chaos on lap 1. But yeah, I think that race is going to be enjoyable, if not a little bit chaotic. I think a lot of the races this week have got chance of chaos, so I'm sure we'll have some very, very entertaining streams on this week. I'm looking forward to doing a lot of racing. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that like button, and I'll see you all for more live content and more videos in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.